Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is UK Cowboys TV. It's season 1, episode number 60. You never know, we might even get to episode 100 at this rate for season 1. That'll be some sort of record. But it is continuing on with the breakdown series, positional breakdown series. This week we're doing wide receivers. So we've got a crew to help me along, because otherwise it's just me jibber-jabbing, and I even hate the sound of my own voice. But for this week, we've got the Scottish contingent of UK Cowboys. We have a double act here. We've got Paul Stewart and we've got Graham Wilson. And then, of course, we have, as we've advertised, a very special guest with us, a close friend of UK Cowboys, one half of the Cowboys Zone podcast. And for anybody who isn't already subscribed or aware of the podcast, make sure you go over, listen to it, get some great guests over there, including ourselves. We were probably the greatest guests. I think we're probably the best ones, I would say.
You guys set the tone for the first season, so yeah.
Woo! Yeah, and that was actually quite a late night for me and you, wasn't it, Paul? It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't initially going to go on because I was up early the next day. So, and I was and because of you, Mike, and Brandon, they were like, "Oh, please, just come on." I was like, "Right, cool," but just bear in mind, I am not going to be functional the next day. So I'm so glad I did, though. I'm so glad I did.
It was a good laugh. It was great fun.
Had so much fun, man. It was great.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking one for the team, Paul. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but as I say, make sure as well, guys, you go and follow on the page, Marcus Jones's page, Bluff City Cowboys. Good friends with, as we already know, as we've just mentioned, Brandon Lambert. He's the other half of the show, Cowboys Y'all, who we've had on this show as well. So we've had both of you on. But just a question about you, first of all, Marcus. How did, because I know you're both yourself and, what the hell was that? Oh, it's a bike outside. Did you hear that?
No,
we didn't hear it.
It sounded like a machine gun going off. Oh my god!
I thought it was a fly.
It was a motorbike right outside, like a chopper. Oh my god! My heart just fell into my mouth. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Hold yourself, Mike.
I'm all right. I'll be all right. Calm under pressure. So, yeah, you're both from Tennessee, as we know. But how do you know Brandon? Is it just I know you're east and west, but do you know each other because of Tennessee?
No, actually, when the whole pandemic started, I started getting more into Cowboys podcasts like you guys and going into different chat rooms and things like that. And just through the course of watching podcasts and making comments on stuff, I would always see his name pop up. And
yeah,
I would always agree with what he said. He would always agree with what I said. And we just did a DM session one day, and we had a lot in common in terms of the Cowboys. And he wanted to get more in front of the camera, and I already had all the camera equipment. So it was a perfect match.
Nice.
Because you work in video production, is that right?
Yeah, I do everything behind the scenes. So I have a system that I use to do the podcast. I have my mixers and mics and lighting, and I do all the graphics. And Brandon just brings all the great content, so it works out well.
And his character and all the rest of it.
Cowboy deal.
Yeah. He can get a bit wild, yeah. But, I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, the peer review as well on Cowboys Zone, you do work really well together. You can see there's a good rapport with each other, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to get him to do Cowboy Dale more on camera, but he likes to get in the zone before he does it.
Yeah.
So it's hard for him to get in the zone in the middle of Cowboy talk. He likes to have a couple of beers and get his mind right to do it. But hopefully we see more Cowboy Dale in the future.
I know. Well, I mean, did he ever tell you how that got started? It's just the weirdest story.
Yeah, he told me a little bit about
I'm
that.
not aware of this. I'm actually not aware of it.
So basically, it's that, you know, the wig that he wears, that mullet wig. He had that just like in the house, and he used to wear it around the house, winding his missus up. And his missus just said, "Look, just go on camera and do some of that." And so, like, because he's got the love for the Cowboys, he mixed the two together, and lo and behold, before you know it, Cowboys Y'all is born.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Always takes the love of a wife to tell you what to do.
Exactly.
It's true. This is true. Yes, but yeah, I mean, it is great. Like I say, guys, make sure you follow both Bluff City Cowboys, Cowboys All, and most importantly, Cowboys Zone, the podcast and YouTube show.
Yep.
So you've exploded right out the gate as well. You're getting some big audiences now.
Yeah. Considering we only started 5 weeks ago, we went from having 150 viewers, and now we're getting 1,500. So
yeah,
we're amazed by the growth, and we're only looking to take this thing further and get bigger and better.
that's it.
Like you say, it's like within 5 weeks, it's went over tenfold.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, just give it a couple of months, give it when the NFL season starts. It's just going to grow and grow, my friend.
Exactly. And we've been blessed to get some great guests to come on the show as well. Like you guys to start us off. We've had George Teague on the show, Kenny the Shark Gant,
RJ.
Yeah, RJ Ochoa with Blogging the Boys. We also got Jeff Kavanaugh with 105.3 The Fan.
That is a great one.
Yeah, we were both extremely nervous during that one because we both respect what he said so much. It was like, just don't screw it up. Don't screw it up.
I mean, funny enough, you had Jeff Kavanaugh on then, and we had Derek Eagleton. So it was all going on. We had it all floating around. I mean, it's great. And, you got the guys like, with Big Game James and all what they're doing as well. Yeah, I mean, everything is coming together nicely with all the creators.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and it's nice as well when everybody gets along doing it, because we do stuff with them as well as West Coast as well. So it's great that there's that community of creators. I think that's what's nice as well. There's no animosity or anything like that.
And that's one of the reasons that what made me get in front of the camera, because when you look at other stuff, you feel like people are going to just put you down and kind of kill you before you start. And it's been the complete opposite.
Yeah.
It's obviously the exact same. Like Mike was, like I was just coming on from time to time, and now I come on regularly now, and I'm not really one for being on camera. Although that's a lie sometimes. It's just to kind of speak my mind. I try and not do that, like in terms of when it comes to football, because I'm very quite laid back, but this, I can actually like have other people's opinions and just like have a normal chat, and that's what I forgot about, and especially during this whole pandemic and that as well. It's like, what more of a best time to do it as well? Just make sure you're keeping yourself connected to everybody as well.
Yeah.
And just something to add as well. If we were talking about your show as well, one thing I love what you guys are doing as well is you're bringing the super fans on as well.
Yeah. We had Stash Man on last week. That was interesting.
I love Stash Man.
I do too.
Yeah. Did he ever tell you the story about what is it he gave me to drink?
He gave you something to drink?
It was moonshine. Oh. Yeah. He had it in a little sachet. Like, wasn't supposed to have it, and I ended up drinking it all.
And you still remember that? You still remember that story?
I don't remember anything. He's the one that keeps reminding me. So.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a nice guy, and I've had a conversation with him. Guy's crazy, mind. I mean, completely crazy. But a nice guy. Yeah. But let's get into some Cowboys news before we start getting into the positional breakdown of the wide receivers, because wide receiver being probably one of the largest groups from top to bottom. So, I mean, the back end will flash through, which isn't too bad. But obviously, straight out the gate, first of all, it was Father's Day Sunday. So to all the dads and to all the sons and the daughters, and obviously fathers here and no longer with us, we hope everyone had a nice Father's Day. But that is just to start the news off. But let's get into the more important stuff. Dak has officially signed his tender, which means... Yes, it does mean that we've got him locked down for this season. 31 mil against the cap, obviously for the franchise tag. Bear in mind, right, he is only 26 years old. So you're probably looking at another 2 or 3, depending on how far he goes, contracts that he's been looking to make. Now, one thing to bear in mind is, although he's signed the franchise tag, if the Cowboys don't manage to break this this standoff that they've got by July 15th, and then it goes into next year and they still don't manage it, and they franchise tag him again next year in 2021, he'll actually be, he's close to 38 million against the cap. Because
at least 38 million.
At least, depending on
who else signs a contract.
And
it'll be like a Kirk Cousins situation with Washington, like the franchise, like 2 years in a row, the franchise tied them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the way to do it, in my opinion, to go double franchise. It's just way too expensive. In my opinion, I don't know what you think about this, Marcus. If he doesn't sign long-term by the 15th, do you think that in 2021 we're looking at a new quarterback?
You know, I don't think we are, honestly.
No?
I think he's going to have a really good year. And I think he's going to pretty much put their backs even further against the wall than they already are. So you got a new coach, a new system, a great receiving core.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully we start using more of these weapons. And everybody looks at what he had last year, and those stats, they should go even higher. I'm expecting a close to MVP season from Dak. And if that's the case, then it's going to be a very tough sell to say we got to let this guy walk.
So do you think that's what Dak in his mind is playing? He's betting on not just himself, but the rest of the team to get him a bigger contract than what he's expecting now then?
Oh, definitely. I think he sees the writing on the wall as well, because he looked at how well he played. He finally got a number one receiver in Amari Cooper, and they got him locked up. So now he knows his floor is high right now because he knows he has Coop. And then he got that unexpected new toy that nobody thought we would get in CD Lamb. So now he's like, head exploded. This can be amazing.
Definitely. Do you think, Graham, that, I mean, Marcus just mentioned it now, the CD Lamb being taken in the draft, do you think as soon as that happened, Dak started seeing money bags in his eyes and thought, I'll wait for a franchise tag and blow this up out, for another year?
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's straight away, he's an upgrade on Randall Cobb. He hasn't played a game yet, so you've got a number one caliber receiver joining another number one caliber receiver with a second trying to be a number one caliber receiver. So we are stacked at wide receiver. There is no way Dak can blame the Cowboys for not loading up on weapons for him. And like you say, with those weapons, it's only going to elevate his game. And by elevating his game means elevates his contract too. Yeah. So if it doesn't work for Dak, they're gonna move on from the high end talks. They're gonna say, we've given you all the weapons in the world. We've given you a stud running back. We've given you a very good offensive line and 3 toys to go and play with. So what isn't clicking? And they're not gonna give a huge contract to a player that's not clicking. So he has to hit the ground running, but I think he will. And then it's big money talk.
Yeah. Speaking about the contract stuff like that, a lot of it is still down to related to his agent. I mean, look for example what Todd France did to the Tennessee Titans quarterback.
Yeah.
Like
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill. When I saw that contract for what that short space of time he did, I was literally losing more hair in my head. I was like, if that's the case, I just don't even know where to begin with that one. And we've seen it unfold. All the rumors, decline contracts, and that. Now it's the franchise tag, so it's now all of it's now pressured on Dak to perform now. If he really wants that big contract.
That is true.
It's not just the pressure from Dak and the performance, though. You just know they have one eye on Kansas City because
it's Mahomes. It's Mahomes.
If Patrick Mahomes breaks that that
For
signing
40
bonus,
mil.
which I fully expect him to, Dak is going to look at that number and say, let's talk there or thereabouts. And there's, I think Mahomes deserves every dollar he gets, because I would rate the Cowboys receiver core over the Chiefs receiver core. I think they just have more talent. But Mahomes seems to have that knack of taking the game by the scruff of the neck and controlling it. When we saw them go behind and he rallied in the biggest stage and brought home the trophy. So he'll be well paid, and I really hope that they get Dak done before that happens.
I think
he definitely does need to get done before Mahomes. I think if it happens after, benchmark's just gone up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The only thing that scares me about the Dak situation, there's this one big stone that's in the way, and that's COVID-19.
Yeah.
If we get into 2021 and we don't have fans in the stadiums, the salary cap is going to go down. And Dak's team doesn't have any control over that, and the ownership doesn't have any control over that. So if Dak wants $40 million and the numbers just simply don't add up and there's nothing the front office can do, then Dak has to make a tough decision on, is there anybody else who even has $40 million out there for me? Because not only would it affect us, it'll affect the 31 other teams. So if he goes to that point, there may not be $40 million out there for him from anybody.
That's very interesting that you said that. I never realised that this could actually have a massive impact within the whole NFL when it comes to the salary cap in total. But that's quite interesting to see if this does carry out through next year as well.
Yeah. And on the flip is obviously the other side of that is, like, you know, you're looking at the way it goes down. There's a way it goes up too.
There is a way that,
yeah. You know, so it's just so up in the air because obviously you've got the new CBA, you've got the natural, the way that the cap naturally increases, you know, through how it's all designed.
Right.
Due to, you know, the way the inflation works on the cap. So it could go the other way.
Yeah, it could.
It's so weird. It's just a really unusual position to be in, you know. And I think maybe perhaps at this stage, if you look at the tag, you know, if you're saying about the uncertainty, could be the best way to go.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just one of those weird situations, you know, this year. Not just for the Cowboys, for all the teams.
Everybody,
you know?
right?
It's just so unusual because you just don't know where it's going to go. But I mean, we pretty much talked that one to death. So we'll try and get to the wide receiver core, which is all about our positional breakdown series.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know what you guys think. I think we're pretty much, though, in agreement. Amari Cooper is the wide receiver one of this team.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's pretty easy to say. The only thing I want to ask all of you is, do you think 5 years, $100 million? Now, bear in mind, right, this year against the cap, Amari Cooper's only $12 million.
Right.
Over the next 4 years is $22 million, which is a big, significant hit.
Yes.
Is he worth the $22 million a year is the question. The $12 million, let's not worry about that for now. The $22 million going forward, is he worth that?
Yeah. Without seeing what CeeDee Lamb does, I would say yes, because you can just see a drastic improvement in Dak's numbers since Amari's been there. So just because your $31 million quarterback looks better, that makes Amari's value invaluable to the team. But if Lamb comes in and he starts to show us something and Gallup shows us something, that's going to make his value to the team drop a little bit. But as of right now, I'd say, yeah, he's worth it.
Yeah.
So in a way, I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm thinking from this perspective because we saw what Gallup did last season. Like,
right.
He took the pressure off Cooper, but whenever Cooper was a little bit quieter, Dak would throw it back to him again. And you saw the bars where both Gallup and Cooper got over 1,000 yards last season. So it can be a blessing in disguise, potentially.
Yeah.
Now we are adding that third weapon because who are they going to target? We don't know. It's it's pretty much like poker. Pretty much, you're just dealt with the hand and try and go for the person that you think is going to be the target. But
Yeah,
at least
I think it's no coincidence that the kind of the train came off the tracks in December when Cooper started to falter a little bit, and I think that goes hand in hand. But adding CeeDee Lamb, you're not going to see Cooper doubled, because if you double Cooper, you're going to get hurt somewhere else. So I'm not big on
that's what it's meaning,
NFL backfield, but you might see an awful lot more zone. You might see a couple of safeties all the time. You might see them spread out a little bit more. So if you've got somebody like Amari Cooper who you can even move into the slot, you can move pieces around before the snap and see what's good. Just having that much talent, you'd almost be forgiven for thinking that the numbers would drop, because, like I keep saying on the podcast, there is only one ball.
Right.
And to have two receivers over 1,000 yards was great last year. Even though the season didn't turn out the way it did, you've got 2,000-yard receivers, and then you go and add a number one pick. You'd almost been forgiven for his numbers dropping a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, bear in mind, right? There's one significant thing, right? Is since he's come into the NFL, he's had 5 seasons. 4 of them, he's had seasons of 1,000 yards or more, and only 1 season has he not, right? And in 2019, last year, that so far has been his best season in terms of yards and touchdowns.
Right.
Yep.
So he's naturally progressing. You can see it if you watch the stats year by year, bar the 1 year with Oakland where he went down. But I mean, let's face it, this was an Oakland Raiders team. I think it was about 3 years ago, and we all know what that team was like.
Right.
I mean, it was a Jack Del Rio team, and I think that year, Jack actually got fired after that season.
They were considering moving on from Derek Carr that year.
Yeah,
they were. Yeah.
I think they still are. But
Still are.
That's another conversation.
Yeah. That pretty much. That's one of those. That's one of those things that happen every off season where we get told, we're moving on from him. But one of the interesting facts is he is a first round pick, and he's made the Pro Bowl 4 times.
Right.
He is one of 8 wide receivers taken in the first round since 2011 to make the Pro Bowl. That's it. There's no more.
That's a great stat.
That is a crazy stat.
Yeah.
That first round wide receivers barely make the Pro Bowl, but Amari Cooper is one of them.
Right. The third guy on is named Graham, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Graham. Okay. So Graham made a good point that is another part of his game we don't really talk about, and that's his route running. No other year would you have the ability to let Amari Cooper play extended period of time in the slot. Even last year, you can't put Randall Cobb outside and put Cooper in the slot. Yep. Now we actually have 2 guys who you can put outside and let Cooper take advantage of his best trait, which is his route running, and you can put him inside for extended periods, and then he just has a full release wherever he wants to go. So his stats could easily explode just because you have a third option who can play outside as well as inside.
Yeah, and that is a big thing. Because as we were talking about, I know we'll get to CeeDee Lamb, or we can integrate the 2 together here at this point, is you literally have 2 players that are interchangeable. So they're almost playing positionless football. And when you play positionless football, like if you look at the 49ers, they done that. You've got results.
I think the key word we're looking for is flexibility.
Right, exactly.
Versatility,
versatility, flexibility. Like, if you can have receivers that can play multiple angles of play on the left or the right, play the slot, whatever, depending on what the routes you're doing, if they can do it all, it's just going to open so many doors, and defenses just don't know what they're going to do.
Exactly.
It means a lot more study and a lot more play film for them to study in such a limited time.
Yeah.
So
definitely. I mean, we may as well integrate it with the 2 together, because I think Cooper and Lamb are pretty much going to be an interchangeable pieces together, as you say, due to their versatility.
Yeah.
So let's take it this way then with Cooper and Lamb because of the draft pick and because of the way that Lamb and Cooper play? Do you see, like, pretty much the way that it's going on the roster, you're going to see 3 wide receiver sets constantly. So you're going to have not so much 21 personnel. What do you reckon, Marcus?
Oh, definitely. That's
Yeah.
too much talent to have one of those guys on the bench.
Yeah.
And then we haven't even talked about Gallup yet. That's just a whole nother avenue that's just going to be even more amazing.
Well,
So,
hit us with Gallup then. We'll just work right through the roster. Gallup.
Okay.
What is it that makes Gallup such an interesting prospect for the Cowboys and a player?
So when Gallup came out, I was one of the few people that I know that was saying he was a first-round talent that year.
Yeah.
Everybody was crowning DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley. But if you go back and look at Gallup's stats from college, everything that he shows us now, he was doing it then. He was a big play guy. He was a one-on-one 50-50 ball guy. He had a lot of yards. He had a lot of touchdowns.
A lot of physicality.
A lot of physicality, right.
Yep.
So you have 3 guys now that you can't double team any one of them. And they all have they're similar, but they all have a unique skill set that they can all take advantage of. You got Gallup, who's the 50-50 guy.
Yeah.
You got Lamb, who's the yak guy. He can catch it and take it up the field.
The yak daddy.
Right. And then you got Cooper, who's your pure route guy. So everybody has a strength and they're amazing at it. And it's going to be a really pick your poison type offense.
Definitely. Team 40 burger, as they keep saying.
Definitely.
I know we're talking about wide receivers, but don't forget our Blake Jarwin as well.
Right.
Yeah.
We haven't even seen enough of him yet due to last season, but we don't even know what to expect for this one because our good friend Shannon Gross, he's got him going over 1,000 yards.
That's right. Yeah.
So we're gonna have 4,000-yard guys on the team.
Who knows? And if that's the case, Dak Prescott might as well get his cash book ready to sign out then. So,
we mentioned that last week to Eagleton. We said, oh, by the way, Shannon Gross reckons he's going 1,000 yards, and he just made a laugh. And he was like, I'm not going to say nothing bad because Shannon's my guy. But he just laughed, and we were like, yeah, we made that same laugh. But
I know we're not talking about tight ends, but with Blake Jarwin, I can see him having 400 or 500 yards, but I think he's going to get about 25 yards a catch because nobody can run with him in the middle of the field. Every play he makes is going to be a big play, I think.
He is a pure move tight end. No matter where you put it, he is a pure move tight end. And whenever you look at his plays, I mean, we did a highlight play last week of Blake Jarwin because it tied in with our tight end breakdown. If you look at them, they're all 20-yard catches down the field. Or he's making moves and jukes and moving defenders in front of him. It is going to be crazy. I got him for about 670 personally and a handful of touchdowns. But one of the more interesting things for me is the fact that usually your tight end is your red zone. He's a good red zone target. He can be, but you need to get, for Blake Jarwin, we need to get things moving to get him free. For me, the more important factor for the red zone is the guy we're just talking about, Michael Gallup. I think he's a huge red zone target. For me, the way I see Michael Gallup, Des Bryant Jr.
I would agree with that.
That's a really good comparison. I would definitely agree with that. Yep.
Isolate him on one side. If you see a corner playing a straight man, just throw it up and let him do what he does.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then once he gets the ball,
and he attacks it. He attacks it like a man possessed.
Yeah. But even when you look at him, that Des Bryant style of running, where he's not going to try and get the defender off-footed, he's just going to run through you, and he's going to let you know. He's going to let you know he's there.
Yeah.
He's got powerful striding on him.
Yeah, and he'll open up and cover ground quickly. Exactly like Des Bryant, where I think with Gallup, he's not a pure route runner. Like you say, Marcus, he's the guy you throw the ball up and you say, go be nasty, give that ball some attitude, and let the defenders know we're there.
Right.
Now, one of the more interesting thing for Gallup is he's got 2 years left on his contract, and in both years, the cap only hovers around about the $1 million mark.
Right.
I say only, like I'd love that, but it's only only $1 million. Now, last season we were just talking about was his best season. Over 1,000 yards, actually got quite close to breaking Amari Cooper's record. He was only off by about 80 yards.
And he played like 2 less games too.
Yeah, because he Amari Cooper out with the foot issues, so he became the wide receiver. Now, here's my only problem with Gallup is exactly that. I don't know what you guys think of this, and I'll start with you on this one, Graham. Gallup had an opportunity while Amari Cooper was out with injury to say, look, I can be a wide receiver one. Check this out. And he really didn't shine as much as we wanted him to. He was still good, but not great. Not like what we wanted. Do you think Gallup is perhaps more suited as a wide receiver two on the other side as a complement? Do you think that that's his style of game?
I think it's got a lot to do with the CD Lamb pick. I think not only did they see value in CD Lamb, they kind of thought, well, Michael, we kind of wanted you to be the one there, and I don't know if you were. So there's all sorts of little things. But just while you guys were talking there, I loaded up Amari Cooper's contract, and according to overthecap.com, he has no guaranteed money from 2022.
That's correct, yeah.
And I just wonder if that's got something to do with it. You know, Michael Gallup has 2 years left. There's no guaranteed money for Coop after 2 years. It's basically, there's a little bit of open competition going there because you're not going to be able to keep all three of them after they've signed their second contracts. So open competition is always healthy. And I just wonder if that's got a little bit something to do with Michael Gallup's fall off. If he had come in and been the 100 game, 2 touchdown catch guy that they wanted him to be while Cooper was out, we maybe not have gone with CD Lamb. You know, it was still a luxury pick for me, and I thought we could have, you know, maybe the phone was ringing, maybe there was an opportunity to trade down. I don't know. Excited to watch all three of them, but I just think in the future you're gonna have to just temper it a little bit because you cannot have 3 number one receiver money. And if Michael Gallup continues the way that he's been playing for the Cowboys, somebody will see him as a one. You know, there might be in the form of a trade offer. There might be big money offered to him towards the end of his contract if he does hit free agency. But if he continues on the trajectory, I mean, he's got better numbers than Des Bryant did in his second year. You know how you guys were talking.
Yeah.
He broke 1,000 yards after 2. It took Des 3 seasons to break 1,000 yards. Right. So there's just a little nudge by picking CeeDee Lamb. They've given Michael Gallup a little nudge. And hopefully he takes off because it'll be exciting to watch on Sundays.
It's definitely going to be exciting. But I think one of the issues that cropped up last year, I think everybody can agree that one of the biggest issues that was happening on the wide receiver core last year was the drop passes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, tell me what you think to this, right, Marcus? One of the biggest culprits on the wide receiver core was, in fact, Michael Gallup. He had a catch rate last year of 53%.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is perhaps down to coaching? So we've got new wide receivers coach. So last year it was Sanjay Lal. This year,
right.
Yeah. And this year it's Adam Henry, who's bounced around a few teams, so he'll have different ideas. Do you think it's down to coaching, or do you think it's just down to experience?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
As much as I love Michael Gallup, one thing that I hate about his game is he has mental lapses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you watch him play, Dak gets blamed for everything.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of plays where the ball looks like Dak overthrew it, but what happened was it looked like Gallup was supposed to keep running, and he slowed down, and then he tried to speed back up, or he tried to jump and mistimed it. So he made a lot of mental mistakes that cost him a lot of stats his first year and his second year, even though he had a great year. Yeah. So I think it was a little bit of also him not knowing really how to run routes. Let's not ignore that. He's a great player, but you don't see him run the route tree. It's pretty much fade, go, deep comeback.
Mm-hmm.
He can get away with that with the way the team was last year because you had a guy like Cooper and you had a back like Zeke taking pressure off of you. But if you're on a team where you're a number one, unless your quarterback is just great and can put the ball exactly where it needs to be, you can't be a number one with such a limited route tree.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there.
Yeah.
But use an interesting one because at the moment we've spoken about great route running.
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken about a Yak Daddy with CD Lamb.
I like
and then
that.
We've spoken about yeah, Yak Daddy, and then and then you've obviously got the physical side with as we were just mentioning, Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
One of the guys on this roster, though, I think probably the fastest guy on this roster is a wide receiver, and that's Noah Brown. I don't know what your guys' feelings are on Noah Brown. This is a guy who
Noah Brown or Devin Smith?
Noah Brown. I think he's.
I was about to say because I was expecting you to say Devin Smith. To be perfectly honest,
No, Devin Smith is fast. I think Noah Brown's faster.
Okay.
I honestly do.
Cool.
But use my question about Noah Brown with you guys. We've had a small sample size. The guy's only had 9 receptions, and that's it. And he spent last year on the injury report. Got put onto IR, so we haven't really seen him at all. Do you think Noah Brown, this is his last chance this year to make or break? Or do you think perhaps with everybody else that's been put into this, Noah Brown's already done?
Well, I think given with the new coach, and see if we were still with Jason Garrett, he would still have that wants to see how things go along. But with Mike McCarthy, he just wants the best players available. He even said that when he joins, like numerous occasions, like I'm here to get the best players available, get them on the field. So I think this might be the last chance opportunity with Dallas, but whether in the future there will be other teams. So, but I think this might be the do or break for him.
If I am Noah Brown, Ventel Bryant, Tevin Smith, I'm on the phone to my agent. Get me an opportunity somewhere else. I mean, when are these guys going to see the field on offense?
Well,
on offense.
Yeah. They'll definitely make efforts in special teams for sure.
That was going to be my next question, which I'll send to you, Martis. Do you think then perhaps, given the fact, Noah Brown is having difficulties as a wide receiver and the way that we've pretty much got our top 3, and it's going to be hard to break into that, especially when we look at the next 2 guys as well, who are trying to sniff for that 4th wide receiver spot. Do you think perhaps Noah Brown is going to see more work as a gunner on special teams?
To me, the only way Noah Brown makes this team is special teams. And he has a leg up on everybody because he's given us 3 amazing years of special teams work. He was our guy for 3 years. So I think that gives him a huge advantage. And because you got these top 3 guys who give you so much and probably won't come off the field that much, you have to have one guy who's just amazing at special teams. Yeah. So even if he gives you nothing on offense, if he gives you great special teams play, I think he has a good shot.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So the next bit is, I think, where on the wide receiver roster is where it gets a bit jumbled up. This is where it's going to get tricky because you've got the guys who are on practice squads and the undrafted free agents, which we'll look at in a moment. But the next 3, I think, are the ones I think certainly Cedric Wilson, because of the name, is going to be the guy at the top of the list. But you've also got Tevin Smith and you've got Tevin Jones as well from Memphis, who was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. danced around on practice squad, and now he's back. Now he's back. Now he's in Dallas. So it's those three guys. I'll start with you, Marcus. So you got Cedric Wilson, Devin Smith, Tevin Jones. I mean, are you putting them in that order the way I've done, or have you got a different take on how you think it's going to go with these three guys?
Give me the order one more time. You said Devin Smith.
The order: Cedric Wilson is. So this is in my particular order.
Okay.
I don't know what you think. So you got Cedric Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
Devin Smith, and then Tevin Jones.
I would agree with that order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. Cedric Wilson is a Memphis guy, so I always have to support my home team.
Yeah.
Watch his dad play.
So's Tevin Jones. Tevin Jones is Memphis too.
Yeah. So Cedric Wilson is almost a legend in high school football in Memphis. Him and Tony Pollard. People still talk about those guys in terms of high school football. And then you had Cedric Wilson has his dad who's from here, and he's a Super Bowl champ, so his name is always going to be relevant in the NFL and in Memphis. But he has that inside-outside ability. He's also a deep threat guy, and he does something that nobody else on your list does. He can be a returner.
Yeah.
And right now, we don't have a punt return on this team. If you had to guess, you would say CD Lamb's probably the best bet. But do you really want him being your punt returner if you don't have to? So I think Cedric Wilson's kind of got a leg up on everybody else. Devin Smith, just from that speed factor and that one great game he had last year, kind of keeps his name relevant. And then you have to put the Jones kid last.
Yeah. I mean, Jones, because he's Memphis as well. So you probably know a lot more about him than we do. I mean, I don't know. I watched some of his highlight reel. The only thing I could really compare him to in terms of player comparison is Marvin Jones. I don't know if you feel that that's a decent comparison for him. But, I mean, looking at Cedric Wilson, he is a restricted free agent in 2021, which is interesting because that means we get to kind of see what he can do for an extra year. Maybe see what we can get back if it doesn't work out. But in terms of Cedric Wilson, is it literally just the special team side that sets him apart from the other two?
I think it's also the slot ability.
Okay.
Cedric Wilson is a great route runner. He never gets to show it off because he's always injured, just to be honest.
Yeah.
But I watched a lot of him at Boise State as well, and he was a big threat guy. He was a route running guy. He actually reminded me kind of like a little CD Lamb in him. He has a little bit of that, but the injuries just hamper him, and he can't get on the field. And last year, when you look at the receiving core, this is one of the knocks on the coaches. They did a terrible job of how they put players on the field and who they put as an inactive player. So you talk about Ventrell Bryant, who kind of took over the Noah Brown role. He was our only real special team guy, so you had to make a place for him. But then you had guys like Cedric Wilson and Devin Smith who were inactive every week. And I think at least one of those guys should have been given more of a chance to contribute offensively. And hopefully they get in training camp and they get their fair share of looks.
Definitely. Yeah. But I mean, Graham, here's a good one for you. Devin Smith, which we've just been speaking about. Now, these pair think he's faster than my Noah Brown, right? Now, I'm disagreeing. But he was with the New York Jets, back in 2015-16.
Yeah.
He then spent all of 2017 and 18 out of the league. Do you think that he still has a long way to go based on the fact that he's missed 2 years out of the league to be able to break into the roster?
Yeah, he has to. And when you consider the receivers around the league that don't even have jobs at the moment, it really is so competitive, even on special teams. Particularly in the Cowboys, the first 3 are set. We all know that. We all recognise it. You're really just competing for the odd looking on offense and then special teams. So, it's tough. I mean, it's you really don't know. You really don't know, because that has to set them back. And when you consider the amount of injuries and inactives that we had last year, you go and throw CeeDee Lamb into the mix. It's only just pushed everybody down one slot when we pick CeeDee Lamb. So it's going to be tough. He's just hoping for that one catch from the Red Rocket in a third preseason game, a flash that makes somebody think, maybe we should go and get him. It'll be tough.
Right.
It will be tough.
I mean, the only other interesting fact from those three guys that I think makes Tevin Jones quite interesting is they actually signed him to a futures contract last year. So that does make him stick around for, gives it that little bit more of appeal. But whether that works out, I don't know. But the next guy then, because the next two guys, if you like, are guys who have been on the Cowboys practice squad already. I get your take on these two, Paul. First of all, we got John V. Johnson from Toledo. He was an undrafted free agent, but he spent last year on IR with a shoulder. And the other guy is Ventrell Bryant, which we spoke about, Temple. He was an undrafted free agent from the Bengals, and we picked him up. I don't know if you remember that we picked him up later on in the year. Was on the practice squad. Then we kind of activated and brought him up. He had one reception during that time for 15 yards, but that went for a touchdown. So far he's 100% across the board. But here's the trouble that I got with Ventrell Bryant, right? Is that at a time when you've got a lot of wide receivers on your roster, and as we mentioned, you took our shiny new guy who's wearing the 88 as well, so it pushes everyone down. During the off season, this guy unfortunately picked up a DUI charge, and we all know that no team likes negative news. Do you think with Ventrell Bryant that's going to end up being his downfall? That could be a reason, because all teams are looking for a reason. They're looking for a reason to keep you. They're looking for a reason to cut you. What do you make of the Ventrell Bryant as well as the John V. Johnson selection as well?
To be honest, I really don't know too much about them. To be honest, it's obviously, as you know, I'm more of a defensive guy, but I mean, it's like you just kind of said there. In regards to, say, if you've made a mistake outside of football, that will have a negative impact towards your actual football career. Even if it shouldn't, your social life should not have a knock-on effect what you do, but it seems to be because it's the NFL. Your public life does reflect into that. So, I would say it would just give coaches some.
Ammunition.
Yeah, and it's, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of it. Because players are want to kind of get back onto the good side of things, time and time over. Listen, I messed up. I want to make things right. I'll work my tail off. I'll do what you need me to do, and everyone knows when you're competing for one of the toughest positions to outside the top three, even being a backup wide receiver, you're going to work your butt off just to be that fourth wide receiver. Especially if you're running a Hail, for example, you run a Hail Mary and there's no tight end, for example, you need a fourth wide receiver. Who's going to be that fourth? Yeah. So there's a lot of things you need to think about as well. I mean, but yeah, I really don't know too much about Johnny Johnson and Ventrell Bryant. Obviously, like you said, he plays with the Bengals and that, but I can't really comment too much on it. But I'm maybe kind of going for a bit of tangent, but I'm actually quite interested with the other two rookies that we've got. Is Kendrick Rogers and let me get the other one. It is
Stephen Guidry.
Stephen Guidry, yeah.
Sorry, there's three then.
Aaron Parker.
Aaron Parker, yeah. So my apologies there, yeah. Yeah, so So I'm quite interested because they'll be like straight across. They'll want to make a point to prove like it's like they can make it in the NFL more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, I mean, let's move straight into the next three, right? If you look at all three, which were undrafted free agents, right? So that all three undrafted free agent rookies we've taken are all over 6'2".
Yeah.
All three of them.
It's so size. Like I'm just looking at I don't think we have any wide receiver now that is 6. Well, Javon Johnson is 6 foot, but nothing less. All of them are like 6'1", 6'2", 6.
The three tallest wide receivers on our roster are all the three undrafted free agents. So I don't know if that's a Mike McCarthy thing that he's trying to look at. I mean, if you was to, I'll get your take, Marcus, right? If you were to rank Kendrick, Aaron, and Stephen, how are you going to rank them?
Let me ask you guys this question before I answer that.
Okay, go on.
How many receivers do you guys think we take? Because we talked about 10 guys. How many do you think we keep on this team? I think we only keep 5.
Yeah, I've got 5.
6 at most.
I was going to say 6 because you definitely need maybe 1 or 2 of them for special teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously we'll probably sign a couple of those guys onto the practice squad. Yeah. So if you're going to include the practice squad, I would say 8.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
7 or 8, give or take, because obviously we've got other needs for other positions as well. But for the first team squad, I would say minimum 5, maximum 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I just wanted to make sure you guys didn't think we were keeping 7 receivers. I was about to. I was about to burst about his bubble before I started.
No, but I mean, if he was to rank those 3, because it's going to lead into the next part. If he was to rank those 3, in what order would you rank them?
That is a very difficult question.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Stephen Guidry, and he's big, he's fast, he's strong. But you could say the same thing about Kendrick Rogers. And Kendrick Rogers made some amazing catches at A&M.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he had but like 25 catches on the year, and probably 20 of them were highlights. It was ridiculous.
Like, this is the thing with Kendrick Rogers that I never understood watching A&M playing, right? Is that it was like he'd do nothing all game, and come the end of the game, they're like, Kellen Mond's like, I need somebody to help me win this game. What am I going to do? And it was like, I don't know. What's the game plan? Throw to Kendrick. And it's like, okay. And that just seemed to be the game plan.
It sounds like, in soccer terms, the super sub.
It is. But he's there all game doing nothing.
Because I'm looking, I've got his stats right here in front of me on the A&M's website, and like 351 yards and only 2 touchdowns last year. And his best game in terms of yardage was against Lamar, which was earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was like 45 yards against Auburn, 44 yards against Mississippi State, and 48 yards away to Georgia. So
I would guarantee you, of those yards, it was probably 1 catch for 38 yards, and it was probably one of the best catches you ever saw.
Yeah, well, that's funny you just mentioned that, because it was only 3 receptions for the game of Georgia. 6 receptions against Lamar, 4 against Auburn, and 4 against Mississippi State. So when you break it down by average, you're probably talking about 12 yards per catch.
Yeah. But I guarantee you it was one of those catches for 35 yards.
Yeah, guaranteed. Yeah.
It's probably one-handed over 3 guys and a backflip or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, he's very lean, Kendrick. Yeah. And he's not a right runner at all. Yeah. Not like, if you look at it, he runs like 3 routes. Yeah. Literally. Go on, sorry.
What makes this so difficult to rank those 3 is when you put in Aaron Parker.
Yes.
I can't find any tape on him, but when I look at his stats, it's like Jerry Rice type stats. Like, the kid had I think he had 10 straight games with a touchdown. He had 14 100-yard games. And I think he only played like 20 games in college. He has he led the division in catches and yards and touchdowns in 1 year. And then the next year, I think he led them in catches and yards. So he just dominated at that level.
Yeah.
And
I'm just looking at the stats as well. It seems like it's been a continuous progression as well.
exactly.
It's like from 400 yards in his freshman year, second year was 823, third year was 972, and his final season with Rhode Island was 1,224 yards.
Right.
That's
I mean, here's the issue then, is do you think perhaps the fact that he plays for a lesser-known school, that's made him underlooked?
potentially because
Yeah.
it's up against the competition when you're playing against that same level.
Yeah.
Like so, it was the same idea. Like who's the offensive tackle that got drafted a couple of years ago? Alex Capa for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone was talking about, oh, he's such a monster offensive lineman. I know I'm kind of going off topic, but I'm just kind of trying to make the comparison.
Yeah.
But because he was more of a, I think, wasn't it even second division? It was like third division, was it not? NCAA.
Right.
That Humboldt, the same university where the hockey team had that tragedy.
No,
Yeah, so I think that's the same school. But basically, when you look at his footage, he was a monster, but it's not the same competition.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of, I don't know if that might be why that could be the same thing. So
I mean, the only thing I could find on him, right? I'm the same as you. I tried yesterday looking around about Aaron Park to find some information on him. That apparently, based on just like some articles that I've read about him, is that it sounds a little bit Gallup, Mike Gallup, in the fact that he's a tall, rangy guy, physical, great in contested catches.
Yeah.
The only issue that they've got that kept coming up because I've read 3 separate articles on him, and all 3 mentioned the same thing, was his hands. Dropping, passing. And I think the issue that we had last year that we've already mentioned with drop passes, and if that happens while he's at camp, if there is a camp, or in preseason games, and they see drop passes, does that instantly click the light off for him?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think that with the stats he's producing, but if that's the case, like you said, we don't have much game tape, so you can only just go based on the articles. So if he's dropping passes, can you imagine what if he could catch them all? Like he would definitely be much more higher up than being an undrafted for sure. He would actually be drafted in the mid range or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wonder with the undrafted guys, you just wonder how many offers they had once the draft finished, because if you're an undrafted wide receiver, I don't know if the Cowboys is your ideal opportunity, because
especially the top 3.
we talked. Marcus brought up the point before. You're talking about keeping 5 or 6 receivers. We already know the third. We probably know Noah Brown is the fourth. What opportunity do you have?
Right.
Even if it's just a special teams, you just wonder. Did they get a call from a team picking in the top 10 that was wide receiver needy? We talked about this being a deep wide receiver draft, but to go all the way undrafted, I just wonder how many phone calls did they actually get, because to be on the Cowboys at the moment, you're only really looking at special teams if you're an undrafted player or the practice squad.
Yeah.
You know, so I just wonder how many phone calls they got after the draft.
So it could be again. There could be a thing from the player's perspective. He might be saying, you know what, I'm going to make that team, like try and make it into the hardest core, wide receiver core. Like he knows how difficult it might be, but if he can make an impact, it might get more teams more interested. If it does get cut, so there's that perspective as well.
Right.
Yeah. But here's one for you then, right, guys? This is the hard part now.
Okay.
Yeah. I want you to pick whether it's 5 wide receivers or 6. Don't worry, we'll get to the practice squad. I'll start with you, Marcus, because you're the guest. You're the guest. I'm the same as you. I've got 5 wide receivers down. Have you got 5?
Yeah, I have 5.
I've got 5. Yeah. So put your 5 in order, wide receiver 1 to 5, to finish off the breakdown series. Then we'll do the practice squad.
Okay. Coop's definitely 1.
Yeah.
Gallup's at 2.
Yeah.
Lamb's at 3.
Yeah.
And then it gets difficult. I hate to put a caveat in. I think Wilson, if he stays healthy throughout training camp, he's the 4.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put
the 5th one is the hardest, isn't it?
I'm gonna put Noah Brown at 5, and everybody always gives him a hard time because he doesn't have any catches. But there are 3 aspects to a game, and everybody undervalues special teams.
Everyone does.
This kid is a special teams demon. And when you have a new coach like Bones Fossil, and he's looking for who's going to be my new core for this team, and you got one guy who just stands out over everybody else, he's going to break the table to say, we can't let this guy go. I have to find a way to keep him on the team for special teams. So that's my 5.
Mine are in those 5 in that exact same order with the exact same reasons. So we're exactly the same. Have you got 5 or 6, Gray?
I've got 5 again.
You got 5? So we'll go with yours
again,
because I know Paul's got 6. So give me your 5 in order.
I may have 6, but I don't know who.
yeah. Coop 1, Gallup 2, CeeDee Lamb 3, and I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the Lamb at 3. Playing for Oklahoma, he will have his easier weeks.
Yeah.
As soon as he hits the NFL, he's going to have a seasoned cornerback in his face every single week, pressing up on him. Knows most of the tricks in the book, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys have been watching his Instagram account. The quick cuts that he's working on in the sand and the grass. I don't know how happy you guys were, but I love.
That's not sand and grass. That's his back garden, cut up to shreds.
Yeah.
We've already seen him with the helmet on, which was glorious.
Right.
It's just going to take him a little bit of a step to get up to NFL standard, but there's absolutely no doubt. I think there's no doubt that he'll make it there because he's surrounded by good teammates. McCarthy knows how to utilize a wide receiver. We've seen that on plenty of occasions. So there's only going to be good things for CeeDee Lamb in his career. Like you guys said, at 4 and 5, it's really, really cloudy. You're talking about special teams. But I'm going to agree with Marcus. I think it's Wilson and Brown. Just because you've got a brand new special teams coach coming in and you've got a guy there, basically, that we've talked about him in the past, that he's been one of our special teamers, particularly a standout. So that would be my 5. Like I said before, if I'm an undrafted wide receiver, I wouldn't look at the Cowboys. You're only going to get an opportunity because right before the question, we all knew who our top 3 was.
Right.
Yeah.
You could argue over 2 and 3, maybe 3 and 4, or 5 and 4 and 5, but you know who's going to be starting on day 1. So it's tough at the top, and if you're not in that caliber, you're not going to see the field on offense for the Cowboys. So I think it's going to be the 5.
Yeah. Before you go, Paul, just to let you guys know, expect to get killed on social media. Everybody I know hates Noah Brown, and I just don't get it. So we're gonna get destroyed for this.
Oh, mate, we get destroyed for everything anyway. We're like the jester group of the podcast world in Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's not true. That's not true.
You're right. I'm just trying to be humble.
Marcus, in the private UK Cowboys fans group, you should see it on Sunday night because Dak Prescott is the most polarizing player in Cowboys history. You love that or you hate him.
Yeah.
It's like Marmite.
They don't know what Marmite is, mind.
Oh, right.
Yeah, America have no clue what Marmite is.
Got a code word for something?
No, it's
like
food.
A type of spread. It's a type of spread put on bread.
Put it on bread.
Oh, okay.
It tastes like bread.
It's like a yeast.
Yeah. Google it later. When you look at it, you'd be like, that looks disgusting.
All right. Marmite.
Marmite, yeah. M-A-R-M-I-T-E.
Yep.
Yeah.
Marmite.
Okay.
It's disgusting.
It sounds like an actual element.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. But we've gone completely off the rails here a minute. But I'll try and bring the Looney
Sorry
train
about that,
back
Paul.
in.
That's all right, man. That's all right.
So, give us your 6 then, Paul. You're going for 6.
So obviously, Cooper number
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
Gallup number 2. 3 Lamb. But I'm gonna say, depending on the situation, they two could probably swap in and out.
Yeah.
Like, depending on what play we do, depending if it's, 3rd and 10, 3rd and long, whatever, 3rd and short. If it's something that needs more route running, then obviously we'll use Lamb more as the second receiver rather than Gallup type of thing. So, and we know that Cooper can do both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm kind of thinking towards that. So it's like a flexibility again. For the bottom 3, I've got and I'm just quite surprised no one else has actually mentioned him, as Devin Smith.
He for me is on the bubble. Like I've got him circled because I like him.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Like I thought he had a great game against Washington. I thought he looked great, but what happened after, no one knows. He just seems to disappear on the face of the earth. Just wasn't getting any game time at all. So, but I hope he can come back stronger. Because from what I saw when he played against Washington, he looked absolutely great. So, and obviously number 5 and 6 would be like Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown for like the special teams type of thing. So that's the only addition really was pretty much Devin Smith really.
Yeah.
But it will be quite tough for likes of the rookies to come in. But the only thing I would say is probably be all down to contracts. If a rookie gets in, is saving more cap space. That's the only thing I can really think is. McCaffrey might actually go away from the whole best player available. He might actually go towards a rookie that is just on that near enough that same level, but it'll save that extra million or so in the cap. So there's that. I'm kind of there could be some fleeing about, but
I mean, for me, Devin Smith is literally he's the guy on the boat. He's that in between guy. And I think it's literally a case of he's either going to make it or he's gone.
Well,
this is it.
And I think he's actually the oldest receiver in the core. Actually, if I'm right.
He's 28, I believe.
Yeah, he's 28. So this could be like his last opportunity with Dallas anyway. So
that's it. Yeah, that's what I mean.
So, yeah.
I'm just amazed that Paul thinks we're going to need 3 downs to move the chains. This offense.
Yeah, that is true. That's another one. Yeah,
I'm joking.
I'm always the one spinning positive mental attitude, and that's exactly that, mate. I love it.
But that's the attitude that gets you killed. We saw that from the Cleveland Browns last year. They were off to the Super Bowl. They were. And the Browns off to the Super Bowl.
Odell who?
Yeah. But let's finish off then, right, guys, with I'll go to you, Marcus.
Okay.
Who you think are going to be the guys going to the practice squad? I got my 3 guys.
Okay.
If you pick the same 3, then this really is spooky. But I've only got 3 guys, wide receivers, go into the practice squad. I know that's a lot, but it's based.
Well, the practice squad's got moved up 2 more spots now, so I think it's up from 10 to 12. And they're talking about taking it up to 14 for this year. So
that would be nice.
We could have space for 3 or 4 receivers, honestly.
Okay. I mean, how many? So I mean, based on that, then I mean, have you got?
It's 12 right now. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing they're probably looking to move it up purely for the basis of the virus situation. So you got extra people to move up. Yeah, that would make sense.
Exactly.
But yeah, in terms of the practice squad, how many have you got going?
3.
You got 3? Okay.
Yeah.
Who are your 3?
Okay. First, I think Jon'Vea Johnson definitely goes back to the practice squad.
That's one of mine.
Second, I just think Kendrick Warner shows so much during a game, because we got to remember all these other teams, when they play in a preseason game, their backup is going to be terrible. Our backup has won playoff games, and he's thrown for 4,000 yards. and he's still pretty much in his prime of his career. So we're going to get real good looks at our receivers from 4 to 9. And I just think Rodgers is going to make enough big plays to where he kind of stays on there because he has kind of that A.J. Green look to him.
Yeah.
So so I think he'll be a fan favorite. He'll be a favorite for Dalton. Now the third one is difficult. I'm probably leaning towards Ventrell Bryant, just because I think that special teams is so important.
Yeah.
And if something happens to Noah Brown, you can kind of bring him up.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say Aaron Parker, but I just think we need to have another special teams guy on the practice squad, and I think Ventrell Bryant would be that guy.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, we're literally the same apart from the last guy. I think Ventrell Bryant, I think he's kicked himself in the pants. So he's got a long way. He's got a lot of distance to travel to get this. That's why I've got Aaron Parker as the third guy. Yeah. So we differ on them. Have you got a take on your three at all, Paul? Have you got a three?
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the list now. It'd probably be John V. Johnson, Kendrick Rogers, and the third one would be like I would actually go with Aaron Parker, like just for curiosity. It's the curiosity, because of the stats and that. But again, it's like if he can do that at that type of division, how good how quick can his development be when he's up against like Andy Dalton in front of him and what he can do with actual guys within our team. So I'm really curious to see how well his development can actually grow because. You know, I mean, don't forget, like, and this, again, I'm kind of going off topic, but do you remember when the Minnesota Vikings drafted the German player?
Yeah.
Like, they put him in development squad for a while and see how he developed. Unfortunately, didn't really lay up to expectations, but he did show a lot of promise, despite he never played college football or anything like that. But
it's different for him, mine.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's like, it just shows you, like, you get a better idea for the development squad, that type of thing. So that's kind of where I'm fighting towards that.
I'm the same as you. It's the curiosity thing that I want to keep him around just to find out what he's about. And
like, can he be used in the future? That's the question.
Yeah. And I know what you're saying with the same thing with the I can't remember his name, the German guy. It's
Moritz Böhringer.
Yeah, Böhringer. That's it. Yeah. But obviously, it's different for an NFL international team because they don't actually count towards the roster.
Yeah.
So it was slightly different for him. But do you have a take for how many guys you've got going to the practice squad, Mr. Graham?
Well, if I was to go with the three, I'm going to go a little bit of left field, and I think there's something in this height and weight thing. For me, I could go with Rodgers, Parker, and Bryant. Because the amount of times to fill Marcus in, my dad's a Packer, and we normally watch Packers and Cowboys on Sunday nights. And the amount of times I've heard a Packers wide receiver score a 35-yard touchdown, and I've never even heard of him. I just think there's something in this Mike McCarthy thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of curiosity by them filling the receiver with the receiver core with Rodgers and Parker, like you say, in the curiosity. But like we also said earlier in the podcast, 6'3", 6'3", and 6'4", all over 200 pounds as well. There's something in that, and I just wonder if they're looking for the piece that they don't maybe not quite have. So that would be my take on it. I mean, the amount of times I've seen touchdown catches from guys you've never even heard of.
Right.
McCarthy just seems to find talent where nobody else has looked before. I think we can see that also in Ben DiNucci being drafted. Right. He must see something in Ben DiNucci to go
he's looked after not looked after him. What am I saying? He's been scouting him for quite a long time.
Yeah. And I just wonder if there's a little bit of Aaron Parker in there as well from Rhode Island.
Possibly, right.
Is the talent not befitting the division and the school?
Yeah, definitely. But go on. Sorry, Mark.
Let me throw a curveball in there because the rules have changed with the practice squad this year. Not only did they expand it from 10 to 12, they also made a new stipulation that says in years past, you couldn't have a guy on the practice squad if he's had more than 3 seasons.
That's right, yeah.
This year, they added a new rule where you can have one guy no matter how many seasons he's played.
Okay.
Yeah. So if a guy like Devin Smith doesn't get a contract offer and the team says, look, we're going to pay you a veteran minimum salary just to be on our practice squad, he could possibly hang around on the practice squad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So that's something to
That would
watch.
work.
If you get into development, at least you still make a good fair bit of money being in that practice squad.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all-
I would love to be. Bro, I would drop my job to be in the practice squad and play D-line. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Even though I wouldn't last one practice, but it'll be an extra million in my pocket.
These are all good things for the NFLPA in particular because they've got more guys. They've got more guys in the game and more guys making money from the game. So they're not necessarily having to go back to the job that they studied for. You know, they can still be in and around the game, and it's just that it's a bit of a leg up for the guys at the bottom of the roster that maybe don't get that opportunity, for them to have more guys on the practice field that can only be good for the NFL and the NFLPA.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think that is the wide receiver core wrapped up in our positional breakdown. Now, before I finish off by asking Marcus if he's got anything, just want to quickly shout out to our sponsor, Cowboys Experience. Make sure, guys, if you're going to a game this year, you go through Cowboys Experience, book through them for their tours and fantastic game packages. Make sure as well you use the code word UK Cowboys to get your free gift that they offer by just saying the word. And obviously as well, what we love is photos. If you go to the game, send some photos over to our page in our group. We absolutely love that. But Marcus, before we wrap it up, it has been a pleasure having you with us, and we can't wait to do it again. We definitely do it again with you and Brandon. But have you got any questions or anything you want to add to the wide receiver position at all?
Not to the wide receiver position, but okay. I want to put Paul on the spot for the second.
Yes.
I know you're a defensive guy, Paul, and you want to keep 6 receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I think on offense we're pretty much set where we are. What position on defense would you go short in to keep a 6th receiver? Because that was my problem with keeping 5. We have so many injuries at linebacker. We have to keep an extra guy. Defensive line is so versatile. I had to keep a guy, and then corner. So to me, you have to cut one of those defensive spots short to keep a 6th receiver.
What I was thinking, I mean, the thing I was thinking of why I'm not taking 6 wide receivers is 1 was the linebacker injuries, and 2, I don't know what's going on with corner.
I was the same way.
Yeah,
and I had to find a spot to cut short, and it was receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious, like, where did you go short at?
As much as I hate to see it, it probably would have to be D-line.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we've definitely improved by bringing some of the additions in, like McCoy and McCoy, Gallimore.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. Gallimore is going to be a star in the next couple of years. He's going to be a starter.
Mm-hmm.
But the way how the squad is, I think the compromise would have to be the D-line, because we don't know what the situation like. Is Tyron Crawford going to be the same type of person coming back? And there's all talk about salary cap once again. Like, should we afford to maybe cut him? That type of stuff. So I don't know.
I think Tyron Crawford for the D-line would be the only wild card or joker card, because I mean, especially with an injury like that he had at the age he's at, is what Tyron Crawford you're going to get.
But it would have to be D-line, unfortunately. As much as it pains me to say that, because I'm a D-line man guy myself. So okay. Because like you said, the injuries and the injuries for the linebacker and the depth we've got, and also just the overall numbers at corner, those need more attention to detail more than D-line. And plus we've actually got a really good D-line coach now, which I think next to the Jim Tulsula, who I don't know if you're actually quite aware of this, but he used to coach in the NFL Europe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yep. The Scottish Claymores.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so that was when you had teams like Amsterdam, Barcelona, Frankfurt, Rain Galaxy was the other one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
Monarchs.
obviously the London Monarchs, and we had the Scottish Claymores. Oh, there we go.
Hey!
That's a throwback right there.
Yeah, big time. But yeah, so Jim Tilsula's got a lot of history that I can relate to.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there we go then. So
Yeah.
now we've found some out about NFL Europe, as well as what we think of Tyrone Crawford, and what Paul thinks of the wide receivers, that he thinks they're more important than a poor D lineman. Shame on him.
Don't you put that evil on me.
But I mean, honestly, Marcus, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Honestly,
It's been great, man. It's been great.
Yeah, and like we said, there's the back and forth. So we've had Brandon on, we've been with you, and now you with us. So it's a beginning of a beautiful relationship, as they say.
Definitely.
But thank you very much, mate. And we'll have you on. We'll have both of you, Brandon and yourself, on, mate.
Yeah.
And as we said at the start of the show, guys, make sure you go and follow Cowboys Zone and Bluff City Cowboys and get involved with their show. It's brilliant, honestly. But from myself, Graham, Paul, and Marcus, we'll see you all again.
See you next time.
See you later.
See you guys.